What's up, fellas? Today I'm going to be looking at Ryan Garcia's most recent B urine sample coming back positive for osterine as well as nandrolone, and I'm going to be giving my opinion on the situation as a whole. If you don't know what happened leading up to it and you're new to this, basically Ryan Garcia is a very popular boxer. Probably seen videos of him when he was a kid doing like the speed bag shit, got like fast hands and stuff. And he beat Devin Haney, who was undefeated on April 20th. This was like a super underdog victory. People were counting out Ryan because he was going crazy on Twitter and Instagram pre-fight, saying all kinds of nonsense. A real funny tweet I really like is after a face-off with Devin Haney on like top of the Empire State Building or something, Ryan Garcia proceeded to post this on Twitter saying, "Bro, I thought he was going in for a kiss, no cap. Diddy got him good. Devin whispered in my ear, come do me like Diddy, daddy." Pretty weird. So, I mean, already off the blocks, Ryan was just going crazy. Here's another one. Devin touched me without my consent. I'm suing him for putting his hands on me, and I identify as a woman, so he touched me as a grown man and hit a grown woman, and I'm LGBTQ+, so now it's a hate crime. Pretty heavy troll, pretty funny stuff here. Really, I don't know. Watching Ryan Garcia pre-fight was something to behold. So basically, if you can't tell, Ryan was being a bit out of the ordinary, if you will. Ryan even went so far as to miss weight by around like 3 pounds, I believe, and bet on himself to win the fight.
There's a story of you bet $2 million on yourself.
No.
Is that a true story?
It's a true story.
And you made $12 million.
I made $12 million.
Sick.
So, you know, betting on yourself is still like allowed with boxing, but at the same time, when you're having like PED allegations and you're going above weight, it's not a great look. So, you know, all this combined raised some flags about his mental health leading into the fight, as well as his training, and if he was actually taking the fight seriously at all. A lot of people, including myself, were counting him out, but to everyone's shock, he put Devin Haney down 3 times in a majority decision W. Ryan Garcia pulled off a crazy upset. Fight was awesome. Let's get into the actual good stuff, which after testing from VADA, or the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association, on his urine samples, it was detected that he had osterine and the nandrolone metabolite norandrosterone in his system. We can see in this letter here, adverse analytical finding, osterine detected. The sample also screened positive but was not confirmed for 19 norandrosterone pending IRMS analysis. You can see in this letter from VADA to Garcia that they found osterine and nandrolone in the A sample that was collected immediately pre-fight on the 20th. However, Ryan had come back clean on all of his other VADA tests leading up to the fight, with the pre-fight samples being the only ones to come back positive for osterine and nandrolone. And just a couple days ago now, Ryan's B sample was released, and expectedly it came back positive for osterine and nandrolone as well. I say expectedly because the A and B samples come from the same sample on the 20th. It's just one sample is split into an A and a B sample to reduce confounding variables, any kind of miscalculations. So, you know, it was expected that it would come out positive as well. So after hearing all that, it may sound like Ryan's guilty on all charges. He's insane. He's doing SARMs and nandrolone pre-fight. He was going above weight, all to bet on himself and make a bunch of money. And his opponent, Devin Haney, even went so far as to have this statement to ESPN. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's pretty long, but basically it says Ryan was cheating. He owes everyone an apology. It's not a joking matter. Ryan was cheating. However, if Ryan had actually cheated and used these substances, then the statement would be very warranted. However, there's a lot of variables going in favor of Ryan, if you believe it or not, and it's almost like he's highly favored. Roll the song.
One bliss, highly favored. One bliss, highly favored.
Now let's get into more of the nitty gritty, with first talking about the nandrolone, or 19 norandrosterone, that he tested positive for. Nandrolone is an anabolic steroid derived from testosterone. Its structural difference from testosterone makes it less prone to converting to estrogen, as well as being more anabolic. 19 norandrosterone Ryan tested positive for, and it is a metabolite of nandrolone, meaning it is the product of when nandrolone is metabolized in the body. So the presence of nandrolone nandrolone in Ryan's urine samples is an indicator that it was in his body. However, nandrolone can be produced in the body endogenously, and it's like super easy to detect in a drug test. Like even the most lackadaisical drug tests can pick out nandrolone. So a isotope ratio mass spectrometry test was needed in order to determine the exact origin of the substance. And after running the IRMS test on the 19-norandrosterone, it was determined that nandrolone wasn't being taken exogenously, aka he wasn't taking it to get any kind of an advantage with doping or anything, and rather it was just produced endogenously. There's a bunch of studies going over nandrolone production in the body and whether or not it could be picked out in a blood test, and typically high activity people produce more nandrolone than low activity people, so it is likely a product of Ryan Garcia's, training camps and whatnot that allowed him to test positive for the nandrolone. So in the A and B samples, Ryan had also tested positive for osterine, which is the big one that a lot of people talk about. Osterine is a SARM, or a selective androgen receptor modulator, that attaches to the androgen receptors, which are located in your muscle and act as an agonist for muscle protein synthesis, causing the muscle to grow. So basically, SARMs attach to the androgen receptors, signal more muscle protein synthesis to occur, and makes them bigger. SARMs induce a significantly greater amount of anabolic activity relative to androgenic activity, which layman's terms means it helps to grow the muscle and improve athletic performance without having a ton of effect on androgenic markers, balding, prostate hyperplasia, and acne breakouts. SARMs have seen a ton of potential in a recreational use for growing muscle and whatnot, but their ceiling isn't as high as actual anabolic steroids like testosterone and nandrolone, stuff like that. And this is not clinical advice. Do not listen to me on any of this. It's all in game. Osterine is orally bioavailable, hence some of its popularity. And not only does it increase muscle mass and strength, it also increases tendon strength, bone density, and collagen turnover. It was the closest SARM to making it through clinical trials. However, it didn't make it past phase 2 clinical trials, so it's now banned by WADA and anti-doping agencies. The main issues with it being used in a clinical setting relates to its testosterone suppressing effects, as well as its suppression in endocrine function altogether. However, right now it's being tested for usage for breast cancer, which is, pretty interesting. Osterine and SARMs in general are not produced in the body whatsoever, which makes them super easy to pick up in a urine drug test. This means that he had to have taken osterine at some point, full stop. So if osterine is in your system at all, it means that at some point you consume something with osterine in it. Whether you knew about it or you didn't know about it, somehow it's in your body. In Ryan's urine samples, though, it was found in a 1 microgram dose. And if you don't know, a microgram is 1,000 times less than a milligram, and a typical dose of osterine is in the 10 milligram range. So in the amount that was found in his urine, it's not indicative of an effective dose whatsoever. Osterine, it has a dose-dependent relationship, and according to a clinical trial, GTX-024, which is the name for osterine here, showed a dose-dependent improvement in total lean body mass and physical function, and was well tolerated. So that means more osterine you take, the more muscle you're gonna grow. Also, ignoring the fact that there was only 1 microgram found, it's really strange that in the drug tests leading up to the fight, that those would all be clean, and then he would go ahead and take osterine pre-fight out of all the other substances he could have taken. Like I discussed, osterine is good for athletes looking to put on muscle in the weeks and months leading up to a fight. For example, in 2016, Lucien Boot tested positive for osterine in his system in his fight against Badu Jack, leading to him being suspended and Jack being given the win. However, in this scenario, Ryan had only tested positive right before the fight, which is super strange because osterine wouldn't have any, acute performance benefits that would have helped him in the moments leading up to the fight. It's not like he's going to take osterine and all of a sudden his motor unit recruitment's going to be so good he's punching holes in walls. Ryan has already been giving a lot of opinions, if you haven't been keeping up on Twitter, as to why he tested positive. It's a whole video he had that's really silly. Roll the clip.
What's up, everybody? I came on here to address this bull
claim that I cheated.
Lies.
Yeah.
The first big theory that Ryan is pointing to is that Victor Conti, who is working with Devin Haney for the fight, is behind his positive test and that Ryan is being set up. If you don't know, Victor Conti worked with Devin Haney for the fight, and he's a founding member for the testing company of the fight, being VADA. He has previously helped athletes get away with cheating during the Balco scandal. If you don't know, the Balco scandal was when Balco, which was a company founded by Conti, was providing undetectable PEDs to athletes across various sports. USADA received an anonymous tip containing info about athletes using a steroid, tetrahydrogesterone, I think I'm saying that right, which led to a federal investigation revealing Balco was supplying PEDs to athletes. This includes Barry Bonds, as well as a bunch of other track and fields athletes like Marjon Jones and Tim Montgomery, who were in the Olympics. Conti developed these steroids and distributed them under the guise that they were legitimate nutritional supplements, which cultivated into a massive scandal and a bunch of documentaries that are out on Netflix. Conti created VADA to work against cheaters, which is ironic considering his past creating cheaters, essentially. And a bunch of tweets, Ryan has been going after Conti, saying Eddie Hearn, Victor Conti, Dan Rafael, none of them can take my victory away from me. I have God with me. You have no chance. You guys are hypocrites. Eddie Hearn, Victor Conti, it's on for real, and that includes everyone's a part of this corruption. Let's do this. Jesus is with me. In an interview with ESPN, Conti responded with, however, the scientific process was upheld and both of his urine samples came back positive for osterine. The strict liability rule will now apply and he will be fined and suspended from boxing. I hope Ryan's behavior will serve as an example of how not to act in times of uncertainty in regards to pending drug testing results. The world of boxing deserves to be respected as a sport. This is a pretty cut and dry statement from Conti, basically calling out Ryan as a cheater and voluntarily taking osterine. It's kind of expected though, because he's working with Haney, but my opinion regarding this, Victor Conti involvement with Ryan Garcia's positive test is there's no fucking way that Victor Conti would fuck around enough and actually spike Ryan Garcia's stuff with osterine and make him test positive for these drug tests, or even just fluke the drug tests altogether. Conti's reputation from the Balco scandal is still recovering, so there's no way that he would put it at jeopardy just for Devin Haney of all people to win a fight. I feel like that's pretty silly, and it's absolutely highly unlikely to me that this was a setup. We'll put this into the funny conspiracy bin and leave it for another day. I really don't think this is the actual case, but if it is, that's absolutely fucking wild. Next off, we have the theory that I found from Derek from More Plates and More Dates that I am more subscribed to, which is that Ryan has gotten contaminated substances. Ryan's other claims have been that the only supplements he was taking pre-fight were ashwagandha, D3, and omega-3. In his tweet, we can see that Ryan is taking an ashwagandha root supplement, and if we look in the back, we can see that this is from a proprietary blend from this brand called Gaia Herbs. In the supplement facts section, we have a proprietary blend containing the ashwagandha root. Untested and non-NSF certified supplements can easily be contaminated SARMs and give an adverse analytical finding in the case of a blood test. According to a 2020 review, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency has issued a warning that athletes are at risk of inadvertent doping with different SARMs, and especially osterine, which was found to be an unlabeled or misleadingly labeled ingredient of various dietary supplements and also present as a contamination in such products. So I think that Ryan is taking an untested supplement, and for one, that was fucking super stupid. He should have been taking a tested NSF certified supplement so that he wasn't getting anything contaminated in that. So one, that was fucking stupid of him, and two, the reason why he was tested positive is because his supplements were contaminated with osterine. Now, I'm not saying that for certain, but it's highly likely regarding the low dose that was found, the low dose of osterine that was found in his system of 1 microgram. And, next time he should really look for an actual tested supplement, so this isn't a question. There also is a potential that Ryan knows that this ashwagandha is contaminated and he was only taking it so that he could actually take a full dose of osterine and build muscle before the fight, and then point to the supplement as a means of like a scapegoat for him. But I also find that unlikely because, again, in the weeks leading up to the fight, he was clean from the other VADA tests. So to wrap things up here today, I believe Ryan took contaminated ashwagandha, which led to his positive test for having osterine in his system, aka it wasn't really his fault and he wasn't doing it intentionally, and he didn't really have a unfair advantage. It's truly unfortunate now because Ryan's reputation is being thrown in the absolute shitter, and his mental health doesn't seem too good. Looking at his Twitter, I don't think Ryan should have his boxing license suspended, nor do I really think he's a cheater, unlike Victor Conti, who thinks he should be thrown in the pits of hell. But yeah, people like Logan Paul right now who are suing him and calling him a cheater and stuff, except that's a whole other thing with Prime, which, if you want to see me get into some Prime talk, Prime hydration, let me know in the comments. And yeah, let me know. Do you think Ryan is a cheater? And other future video suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. But I'll see you next time.